Did everyone notice at 6 o'clock, everyone started to be quiet? I love that. It's awesome. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 Achievement Ceremony. My name is Regan Johnson. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources with the district, and we're very excited. Like last year, we had more in person, but wasn't quite there yet, and now we're wide open with COVID mostly being in the rearview mirror, so that's great. However, before we start the program, I would like to have a moment of silence for two recent retirees who have just passed. Bess Ukabate and Mitch Karkner Sr. were both longtime employees with the district, and we just want to recognize their contributions and their loss. Thank you. Tonight we're honoring both our tenure recipients as well as our retirees. It's kind of both ends of the spectrum. It's pretty exciting. I love the energy out in the lobby, people talking and sharing stories about their time here. It's always one of my favorite nights of the year, and I break out the red coat for it. So I do have a few quick thank yous before we get rolling. I'd like to thank our high school custodial staff who does a lot of work behind the scenes to get everything prepared for this evening. Mitch Karkner and his team do such a great job in that. Andy Maycock and the media team and Steve Wolf, who helped out tonight to get everything rolling in the broadcast. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Greg Gosier and Voya. Voya is our 403B vendor. Greg and his team donated the money for the food and drinks tonight for the program, so we appreciate his support and being involved in this. And finally, I would like to thank Kim Tenike and Tammy McGill, who really do the heavy lifting of this night and make it look as great as it is, and really appreciate Kim. Say hello. Is Tammy in here yet? All right. I'd like to thank both of them. They're incredible. At this time, though, I'd like to invite our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marie Wiles, to the podium to speak on behalf of both these very important milestones.
Thanks so much, Regan, and good evening, everyone. This, too, is one of my favorite events of our school year, and I also broke out a red suit. So it's not just Regan, and we tried not to clash too badly. One of the reasons why I love this event, because I think it celebrates the great gift that each and every one of us has to be part of a school community. There are probably professions out there with better compensation packages, but there are no other professions out there that are better able to fill our souls with satisfaction and reward for the difference that we make in the lives of children and our colleagues and families each and every day. And I think we saw that in such a visceral way after living through the misery of the pandemic. I mean, all of us in this room, whether we are a teacher or a teaching assistant or a bus driver or whatever role we play, we see in our children the impact of not being in school every single day. And which that tells me is that there is no doubt that each and every one of us make a really profound difference in the lives of children. So for those of you who are here to be celebrated because you're being tenured, I want to offer my congratulations to you, because everyone here for tenure tonight did it the hard way. All the interruptions, changed roles that you may have played during the time when we're all judging, are you going to be part of the long-term team here, is really a testament to your tenacity and your commitment and your talent. So congratulations to our tenurees, but I always want to remind you that getting tenure isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And I heard a great quote today on a meeting at 3 o'clock from one of our tenurees who said, "I haven't peaked yet." And guess what? Nobody has when you're just getting tenure. So sorry, Shannon, I told you I would embarrass you, and I'm good for my word there. So congratulations, and it really is a journey. We continue to learn and grow every single year, no matter how many years we do this kind of work. And for our retirees, I want to say this. I think one of the happy parts of our job is knowing intellectually that we make a difference, but we sometimes don't always know viscerally how we make a difference. So I just want to share a brief story of an email I got the other day, and I get lots and lots of emails, and truth be told, most of them are less than lovely. But this one was, actually, I printed it and then I forwarded it to the person it was about. But recently, one of our high school teachers just won a prestigious award from SUNY Albany, Alicia Wine. And in my Friday update to families, I put a little shout out to Alicia and a link to the story on our website. And a 2002 graduate from Guilderland High School emailed me to tell me the story of how this teacher totally changed the trajectory of her life. And she was in her first year of teaching, untenured. And so I read the email and I was like, this is awesome. I'm sure Alicia has no idea. So I asked the person who wrote it, do you mind if I forward this? And I did. And the response I got back from Alicia was, I had no idea, but I do remember this child. So my point in all of this is that every single one of you who is being honored tonight, no matter what kind of role you play in this district, you have touched many individuals. You just may never get to know it like that. But I want you to know that it happens, and it makes a difference, and I hope you do get those emails down the road. I will always forward them. So congratulations to everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Regan, because I don't think he thanked himself, because he too does a ton of work to make this event happen that means so much to celebrating our talented newish hires, and our retirees who have given so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Wiles. It is my privilege to now present to the Board of Education, and I would like to recognize our board members who are here this evening. So Gloria Toll-Hilt and Blanca Parker-Gonzalez and Katie DePiro would like to wave and say hello. Thank you for coming. I would like to present to the board and our community our newly tenured employees. We are recognizing 23 individuals this evening receiving tenure in 11 different tenure areas. And unfortunately, this is a busy time of the year. We do have some recipients who aren't going to be here this evening. We will be recognizing our tenure recipients by building. So when your name is announced, you're going to come down and pick up your tenure pin and certificate. And to lead us off is our middle school principal, Mr. Michael Astor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight and sharing in this wonderful evening with us. It gives me great pleasure and joy to introduce and recognize the following 5 educators as our 2023 FMS tenure cohort. Our first teacher that I'd like to congratulate is special education teacher Sarah Iddings. The second special education teacher we'd like to recognize this evening is Megan Wyand. And the third special education teacher we are excited to recognize this evening is Megan Moran, who unfortunately is unable to join us this evening, so we'll present the award and the pin to her tomorrow at school. I'd like to recognize and welcome to the podium our Spanish teacher, Danielle Rockwell. And then finally, someone I work very closely with on a daily basis, I'd like to welcome to the podium and congratulate our house principal, Mrs. Kelly Willits. Congratulations. We look forward to the positive impact all of those 5 educators will bring to the FMS community. I'm looking forward to seeing what value added they will bring to our FMS community. So congratulations, well-deserved, and good luck. At this time, I'd like to introduce and welcome to the podium my colleague, Westmere Elementary School Principal, Dr. Beth Beeney.
Need my glasses. Good evening, everyone. I am honored and excited to share with you 3 teachers from Westmere receiving their tenure recognition this evening. And as I introduce you, I'd like to invite you down here to the podium and just stay here for a quick moment. 5th grade teacher, Ashley Deso. Reading teacher, Cassandra Spratt. And 4th grade classroom teacher, Amber Stiller. So this group of professionals are not only incredibly talented with high quality instruction, student engagement, and professional collaboration, but they also find time to support students beyond the classroom. Mrs. Deso goes out of her way to help organize and plan special 5th grade events for students while preparing them for the transition to the middle school. Ms. Spratt spends time over the summer preparing 100 individual book bags for the summer reading program. And Ms. Stiller created the Westmere Beautification Club, where students enhance our school community by painting murals in the large gym, the bathrooms, and plantings in the courtyard. We are so very fortunate to have you all with us at Westmere and in Guilderland. But I will share we are losing one of them. And I want to thank Cassie Spratt for the past 4 years at Westmere. She's moving downstate this summer to spend time with her fiancé as they plan their wedding and move on to the next chapter in their lives together. Thank you, Cassie, for the past 4 years. They've been wonderful. And thank you to all 3 of you for what you bring to Westmere. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Piscatelli, principal at Guilderland High School.
Good evening, everyone. I feel very fortunate to recognize 3 individuals that are tremendous instructors that we're thrilled to be adding to our staff permanently at Guilderland High School. Not only are they super strong instructionally, but I have seen firsthand the connection they make to kids every day. So we feel really blessed to be having these people join our staff permanently. The first individual I want to recognize is Ms. Alexandra Nealis, chemistry teacher. There you go. The second individual is ENL teacher Nicole Niles. And our last individual is Italian teacher Anthony Santa Teresa. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Christopher Sanita, Pine Bush Elementary School principal, to recognize our next awards.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to each of our tenure recipients and our retirees. This is a special milestone, as Dr. Wiles had indicated, for each of those individuals and their family members and spouses who are able to join us this evening. Tonight, we proudly recognize 3 colleagues from Pine Bush who will be receiving tenure in our fine school district. Their 3rd grade teacher, Amy Burns, 1st grade teacher, Kristen Hartnett, and reading teacher Joelle Tremarkey. Only Joelle was able to join us this evening, so I will ask Joelle to please come on down. And while she does, it really goes without saying, and Dr. Wiles had indicated, that this has absolutely not been a typical path toward tenure for any of these, with the COVID shutdown, the shift to cohort instruction, and then our return to somewhat normalcy, and then normalcy this year. So we certainly want to recognize all the work that these individuals have done, because we're now come full circle to where we were when they were hired back in September of 2019. So let's hope for a great end of the school year and a great start to the next year. And it is now my proud pleasure to introduce my colleague, Jackie Vandenberg.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of introducing 2 teachers who will be awarded their tenure, and I will call them down in a moment. But just before I do, a few quick words about Miss Lindsay Lewis, a 5th grade teacher at Linwood Elementary, and Miss Kate Panza, a 2nd grade teacher at Linwood Elementary. I'd like to echo the sentiments of my colleagues by saying this probationary period was one that was very unique for each of these teachers. And when looking back at that period now, it's with great pride I think about the wonderful things that they've accomplished in 4 short years. Ms. Lindsay Lewis, who's creative, who has a special way of creating a community in her class. And she's most famous for in our building creating the Linwood Voice Scale that hangs throughout our building. It's something we're all so proud of. And to Ms. Kate Panza, whose quiet and humble leadership shines through in all that she does. She is certainly not the loudest in the room, but when you walk into her classroom, you know that she has just that gift and that ability to connect with students and families and make kids feel safe at school. So it is with great pride I would like to introduce the 2 tenure recipients from Linwood. First up, Miss Lindsay Lewis, 5th grade teacher. And Miss Kate Panza, 2nd grade teacher at Linwood Elementary. Congratulations and thank you for your commitment to the students and staff at Guilderland. And next up, I would like to introduce Peter Brabant, principal at Altamont Elementary.
Thanks, Jackie. And I would like to thank the Board of Education and Administration for putting an event like this together tonight. It really is a wonderful way to celebrate a new beginning and kind of affirm the support of our future for our students. I'd also like to acknowledge 2 of the individuals I will be speaking about tonight, our special education teachers in our integrated skills class. And Lisa Knowles and Kelly Dioldi have played a major role in the leadership and support of these individuals, and I know they would like to be up here acknowledging the work of these fine teachers as well. So a good teacher can inspire hope, instill the imagination, and really allow kids to develop a love of learning for the lifetime. And through dedication, commitment, and hard work, Alyssa Mayo, Maggie Winslow, and Christy Charlo have demonstrated their ability to do exactly that for our students. Each of these individuals knows the value of building strong relationships with children that allow them to feel capable, connected, and able to contribute in positive and meaningful ways in the classroom. And in addition to that, they've enhanced our professional learning community with their contributions and collaborative learning process. Not only do they support our children, but they also support our initiatives and make us learn and grow better as a school together. The Guilderland School District should be grateful to have such amazing and dedicated professionals working with our student population and supporting our district's mission. Congratulations to Alyssa Mayo, Maggie Winslow, and Christy Charlo, and thank you for all you do for our students and community. Our future looks brighter when people like you commit to a career in education. If 2 out of the 3 come down and join me, I think Maggie's here and Alyssa is here tonight. Thanks. And I'd like to introduce my colleague and friend, Dr. Alan Lockwood.
Good evening, everyone. So yeah, this is the COVID class of tenure recipients, and I was reflecting on that a little bit today when thinking about the tenure recipient from GES, our library media specialist, Julie Tutel. You know, that year, 99 to 2000, or 19 to 20, and the following year were, sorry, dating myself, were very, very challenging for all of us. But I can't even begin to comprehend how challenging it was for a new library media specialist who suddenly had no access to the school, no access to the library, and the following year had access to her library, but wasn't allowed to have kids in there. So Julie had to be very creative and remain steadfast in her determination to get books into the hands of students, and somehow found a way to make it work. Julie, if you can make it work under those circumstances, I am excited to see what more you can bring to our school for the foreseeable future. So my congratulations to Julie Tutel. And now I'd like to welcome back to the podium our superintendent, Dr. Marie Wiles.
Thank you, Alan. I have 3 individuals to recognize this evening. All 3 are leaders within our school district, and all 3 have roles that cover all 7 of our buildings. They are district-wide leaders. And 2 of them have decided to come here after uprooting their family to do it. So it shows a level of commitment to come to our community and lead. And the first of those, who came to us from Tennessee, is Shannon Elliott, our instructional administrator for art and business, who has come here with all kinds of energy. And if you follow our news at all and you see how many art shows and art awards we're winning, she's taking the place by storm. So Shannon, come on down and let us congratulate you. The second individual I would like to recognize uprooted from Ithaca, New York, and bravely moved right around the corner from me. Mr. Bob Winans is our instructional administrator for K-12 music. Came here right at the beginning of the pandemic, but when we were talking bell covers and 12 feet social distancing and all kinds of crazy things, but still managed to make music. And what beautiful music it is. So please come down and let me congratulate you, Bob. Congratulations. Nice.
I have to say, I didn't know she lived around the corner.
Surprise, surprise. The third individual I'd like to recognize this evening also has district-wide responsibilities. He is the third person I'm recognizing, and this is the third time he's received tenure in the Guilderland Central School District. Kim told me 3, and I believe her. He has received tenure, well, maybe only 3 times now that we're thinking about it. When does this become effective? Truly, while we jest, Regan Johnson has been in this district as a teacher, as an assistant director of athletics, as an instructional administrator / athletic director, which I think is the roughest job in the district, and now as our assistant superintendent for HR, where he leads and serves close to 1,000 employees with energy and compassion and great care. So even though we don't know how many times he got tenure, he's worth it every single time. So Regan, let me congratulate you. All right, I think I'm turning this program back to the man in the red jacket.
It is 4, actually, but we'll let Marie be right, it's 3. We would now like to recognize our retirees who are with us this evening. Combined, we have 27 retirees that have retired all throughout the school year, not just at the end. Some people retire at the beginning or in the middle of the year. And unfortunately, we have some people who have moved out of state or were unable to be with us this evening. However, the 27 retirees that we are going to recognize have over 600 years worth of district experience. I mean, that's a ton. So the calculator was smoking after I was adding all those years up. But we'd like to recognize the 16 that are actually here in person this evening. And we will make sure that all of our retirees get their plaque, even if we have to mail it to the states all over the country where they are. We're asking that the retiree come down to the podium, receive their plaque after the speaker has finished their brief words. And I am going to lead it off tonight because our director of facilities, who we're recognizing 2 people in that department, was unable to be here tonight. So I'm actually going to pinch hit for Mr. Cliff Nooney this evening. The first recipient of the night is Connie Arnold. Connie has been with the district for over 20 years as a member of the custodial department here at the high school and then at the maintenance building. Cliff has described Connie as someone with nonstop motion. She's always first to respond to an issue at the high school with a smile and a positive attitude. And having worked here in the high school for many years, I can attest that is absolutely 100% true. She's the first one who comes with an issue. She's always there. Her work ethic and customer service, her attitude will be greatly missed and very, very difficult to replace. Congratulations, Connie, and thank you for all you have given to our district. Connie Arnold. Our next retiree is Mike Van Alstyne, or Mikey V, as I like to call him. Mike has been with the district for over 30 years in the maintenance department. Although Mike has officially retired, we've had his red folder meeting and gone through. We like him so much, he does such great work, we've pulled him back into a temporary position. So we're really excited about that. He's returned to assist in the coordination of our district's playground installations and other things that Cliff finds him that he needs him to do. Cliff calls Mike a master craftsman, and he can do everything from woodworking to welding. I don't think I have ever seen Mike in anything but a good mood. Not one time. I mean, for as long as we've known each other, 20-something years, I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad mood, which is incredible. I admire that. He's always willing to jump in and help, and although I want him to enjoy his retirement, I'm very happy that he's back with us. Congratulations and thank you, Mike, for all you have done for the district, and we're going to keep it for as long as we can. Mike Van Alstyne. I got to look and see who I'm introducing. Somebody took the script up here. Next up is Dr. Beth Beanie, Westmere Elementary Principal.
It is my honor to recognize two retirees this evening from Westmere Elementary. First off is one of our teaching assistants, Mrs. Patty Fink. Patty has been a primary teaching assistant in the Guilderland School District for 22 years, working primarily in grades kindergarten and first. While her mannerisms may be quiet and subtle, the results with children are powerful. Mrs. Fink develops respectful relationships with children who quickly learn what she says, they do. She can help guide a child back on track, lead small reading groups, work individually with children, and jump right in to be the classroom teacher when needed. Mrs. Fink is a true professional. She rarely takes a day off from work and often collaborates with teachers. There is no such thing as downtime for her. She'll find things to do, whether it's monitoring the class to see who needs extra help or preparing materials for the next day. Mrs. Fink can also easily spot that child who is having a tough day and goes out of her way to make them feel special and spend extra time with them so their day gets better. Patty, Westmere is truly going to miss you and your work with children. However, we are very excited for you to spend more time with your grandchildren. Now you can join them at school as their special guest and not as an employee. Thank you for your years of dedicated service, your encouragement to hundreds of children, and your positive work ethic. Congratulations, Patty Fink, and enjoy your retirement. Next, I'd like to recognize first grade teacher, Mrs. Doreen Phelan. Now, we were told to try to keep things brief and try to speak within a relative time limit because I could go on and talk about Doreen's incredible teaching career, but I need to keep it somewhat brief. So Mrs. Phelan has been an elementary teacher in Guilderland for 34 years, teaching kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. When you enter her classrooms, one of the first things you notice off the bat is her energetic, creative teaching style. Students become involved in authentic learning, whether it's observing birds outside their classroom from donated Christmas trees, or writing taste reviews about different flavors of Oreos, or taking a walking field trip to Moe's, or even the Capital City Diner. She always finds ways to use the resources around her to promote student learning. Mrs. Phelan is also one of the creative masterminds behind Camp Wildcat. It's a 3-day camp at Westmere where all first graders participate by wearing bandanas, doing crafts, proudly wearing their t-shirts, singing songs around a make-believe campfire, and so much more. Even during COVID, and as a remote classroom teacher, Mrs. Phelan found ways for students to experience Camp Wildcat. Other notable highlights on Mrs. Phelan include the creation and success of the Gootag sale. And for those of you that don't know that, it's the gently used toy and game sale at Westmere. Yes, collecting and selling used toys and games can create a lot of money at Westmere. She also brought theater to 5th graders by directing stage productions such as Mary Poppins. She created a community garden behind the school where students and teachers grew vegetables and plants. She initiated the pajama and sock drive for underprivileged families at the Miralax Shelter and Ronald McDonald House. Clearly, her creativity extends beyond the classroom. As a colleague, Mrs. Phelan is an active participant on committees. She is currently the social studies teacher leader and has served on many committees at Westmere. She maintains a monthly calendar at Westmere, which displays student birthdays and special holidays. Other teachers have joined Mrs. Phelan's creativity, adding interesting facts, books, and artworks to that calendar, promoting the holidays. There is nothing she can't do or won't do, and creativity is truly one of her strengths. Mrs. Phelan has also been a singing fairy at the Westmere Follies. She is a songwriter and singer for retirement skits at Westmere, and you're quickly learning how she is both an entertainer for staff and students. Mrs. Phelan, we will miss your dynamic energy, your passion for creative teaching, and your learning. We also know how equally busy you are outside of school as the lead singer in a rock band here in Guilderland and being a health coach. I hope the next chapter of your retirement is a bit more laid back, but I really don't think you're going to slow down anytime soon. Congratulations, Doreen Phelan, and thank you for your years of service to Westmere. Next up, I would like to introduce Dr. Alan Lockwood, principal at... No, someone else is doing her, not me. Okay. Next up is Dr. Lockwood, principal at Guilderland Elementary.
All right, Rory, where are you? Oh, okay. I cannot believe that this day is here. It's one that I always knew was coming, but was always in a bit of denial about. You see, Rory Davis is simply one of the best teachers and the best human beings that I have ever known. He is a man of positivity and absolute integrity. And for those reasons, in addition to an amazing sense of humor, Mr. Davis is loved by his colleagues, the students, and their parents. There are far too many examples of Rory's amazing nature and professionalism to share even a fraction of them in the minute or so that we are given this evening. But I will always remember the way that Mr. Davis led his class through the very darkest of days and helped them heal together and support one another in an open and honest manner, and in a way that I cannot imagine anyone else being able to do. I will always remember how Rory used to introduce himself at open house as Charlie and point to his colleagues and say it was because he worked with angels. And when we had to contract a section of fourth grade one year, it was Rory who volunteered to change grade levels, not because he wanted to, but because he didn't want anyone else to have to make that change. I will remember how Rory always, when teaching students about colonial times, he doesn't show students illustrations or pictures of artifacts and tools. He collected dozens of antiques and artifacts and turned them into a hands-on presentation, not just for his students, but for all fourth graders, so they could see and actually touch the artifacts and try and infer what they were used for. Now, each year, like I'm sure my colleagues do, I send out a letter to parents asking if they want to share any information with me about their child as we start their placement process for the coming year. In the letter, I explicitly tell parents to not request a teacher, but it's become pretty routine that several parents ignore my letter and go ahead and request Mr. Davis anyways. And I've truthfully even had a third grade student slip me a note requesting Mr. Davis himself. We are going to miss Mr. Davis next year for many reasons. One reason personally for me is that as a male elementary teacher, Mr. Davis has been one of the core individuals responsible for teaching the dreaded maturity lessons to our fifth graders for the last 15 or 20 years or so. It's been an annual rite of passage for our students, and Rory has been there to help all our male students learn more about themselves and how to be a young man. Rory, we haven't talked about this yet, but I do hope you're planning to sub a little next year, at least a couple of days. Rory lives pretty far away from GES, but he is consistently the first person to school every day. And when I say he's the first person there, it's not even close. I mean, he traditionally gets to school somewhere around 5 a.m. Because he says that's the time when he can really come in and focus. And I've learned that he gets very, very focused during that time. And if I wanted to go in and talk to him a little bit early, I learned that you have to make a lot of noise going down the hallway, or else you're likely to hear his startled yell as you pop in the door and say, "Good morning." But in all seriousness, Rory, I'm so very happy for you as you move on to the next phase of your life. You have given so much of yourself to our school, to your students, and to your colleagues. It's time to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Congratulations. And now I'd like to welcome up to the podium our instructional administrator for world languages, cultures, and our K-12 E&L supervisor. Thank you. Marcia Ranieri.
All right, everybody is a lot taller than I am, so I'm going to have to stand on my tiptoes, I guess. I'm here to talk about 3 individuals tonight. The first one I'm going to start with is an E&L teacher, Paula Hunt. Paula is an E&L teacher at Westmere Elementary School. She's been teaching in Guilderland for 13 years. Paula started her teaching for 7 years in the elementary classroom at 4th grade at GES. And then in the latter part of her career, she switched to be an E&L teacher for the last 6 years. Paula and I would meet many times in her classroom at GES. Marcia, just come over and talk to me. I want to ask you questions about E&L. I don't know, maybe someday I'll become an E&L teacher. She was always pondering the transition to be an E&L teacher, and she was never sure if she should really leave the classroom. She wasn't sure if she wanted to take all the extra classes, but there was something inside of her that spoke to the desire to work with multilingual learners. Paula eventually made that switch and applied to be an E&L teacher in the Guilderland schools. If you ask her, I bet she would say these last years of her career serving in this role have some of her finest memories and have had the greatest impact on her as a person. There's so much that I could say about Paula and how much we will all miss her as being part of our E&L team. She gives of herself selflessly to her students, their families, our team, her building, really everyone around her. Paula will be hard to replace. She is the person who is always there for her students and keeps students as the center of her focus. Best of luck in your retirement, Paula. Please come back and sub for us maybe once in a while. Most of all, enjoy your travels with your husband, Daryl, and extend your visits to see your boys. Focus on what matters in life since you've given so much of yourself to your students in this profession. Congrats, Paula. Next up is world language teacher Jill Dugan. Jill Dugan has been a language teacher for more than 4 decades, 23 of those years in Guilderland. She started her career in Virginia Beach over 45 years ago, and she's currently a Spanish teacher at FMS. In retirement, she plans to travel, spend time with her children and granddogs, and use her bilingualism as much as possible. Jill really embodies what it means to be a language teacher and a language learner. She uses the language as much as possible in the classroom and outside of the classroom. Jill only speaks to me in Spanish, and it's so good for both of us. She takes students on field trips to make language learning meaningful. She models for her students how much the use of the language has brought her so much joy in her life. Jill's traveled to many different Spanish-speaking countries, but she has really found her niche in her travels to Argentina. It's become like a second home for her, and she has really bonded with the people. Jill hopes to continue to travel during her retirement and spread joy to all those with whom she comes in contact. Something I will never forget about Jill is that she never returns from her trips empty-handed. Whether she's traveled for the weekend to New York City or found a quaint candy store while visiting a friend out of state, Jill always brings back something for someone. She remembers everyone's birthday and always has a little regalito to pass on to someone having a baby or celebrating a special milestone in their life. Jill, we wish you all the best in the years ahead and hope that they bring you tremendous amounts of joy that you have brought to your students all these years. You can see I'm up here for a while. I'm losing a lot of my team members to retirement. My last teacher that's retiring this year is Karina Baugh. Karina has been a staple at Farnsworth Middle School for the last 32 years. She teaches French at FMS and always reminds us that she has taught in just about every scheduling model over the years. When Bill has a new idea about scheduling, Karina says, "Oh yeah, I taught in that model. I taught 7 preps in a row, no break," and she reminds us of all the different things that have happened, so nothing new will stump her. Karina's our department historian. She remembers students from years ago and who their siblings were and what instrument they played. Her memory is strong and her bonds with students run deep. When you come into her classroom, Karina can share many unique details about her students because she's gotten to know them so well. Her insight is valuable during parent conferences because she has a deep understanding about every student that she has taught over the last 3 decades. Karina is a mom to many of her students. They share with her very important, fragile things from their lives and know she'll have a caring heart to accept the challenges that middle school students face. She has a listening ear and probably hears more than she has time for, but she always allows students to feel heard. Something that I will always remember about Karina is our fun adventure to Montreal with students pre-COVID. Karina kept us all laughing on the bus with a large car battery charger that she brought to make sure her cell phone stayed charged during the trip. It gave us all a laugh for sure, but it speaks to how she was always prepared, even over-prepared, at the most important times when working with students. Best of luck in your retirement, Karina. I hope you foster many more puppies, enjoy time with your family, and make some time for yourself as well. All the best. Next up is the Instruction Administrator for Music, Bob Winans.
Good evening. So I'm here to talk about Kathleen Ellinger. And as I'm standing here right now, the first thing that comes to my mind is, if I don't give this speech, does that mean that she can't retire? No, what you don't understand is that Kathleen has been a fixture in the music department, the Guilderland Music Department, for 37 years, and even longer if you count years as a student. So we're losing a wealth of knowledge and experience, and you don't replace a Kathleen. All you can do is learn as much as you can from her and hope that you can replicate it somewhat when she's gone. Now, if you know anything about Kathleen, you know that she likes busting chops a little bit. In fact, I think Kathleen was the first person in the music department to bust my chops when I got here 4 years ago. And, that always stuck with me because, being from out of town and not really knowing anyone, it made me feel like part of a team, and I always genuinely appreciated that. That's just one of the many things that Kathleen does so well. She creates a real family atmosphere with her ensembles and makes students feel welcome and accepted. I've seen this time and time again in lessons as well. Kathleen has a way of meeting students where they're at, making them feel comfortable, getting them to believe that they can be successful, and then raising them up to an extraordinary level. If you've ever been to a wind ensemble concert, it's remarkable. And the next one, the last one for Kathleen will be on May 24th. So I invite everyone here to come. You'll be amazed. She gives her students a real sense of ownership in the ensemble in a way that I've never seen before. It's, by their nature, large ensemble rehearsals are really teacher-driven. Kathleen understands the value of student voice and has the courage to relinquish control to the students and really give them a strong voice in the rehearsal process. And that's why the entire wind ensemble, Kathleen and the entire wind ensemble, were invited to the New York State Band Directors Association statewide symposium in March to present on this really innovative model of teaching and rehearsing titled, well, I forget the exact title, but it's about collaborative rehearsal. So as you can see, we're losing a lot this year. Kathleen, I know that I'm going to see you around from time to time. I'm going to miss you a lot, and I just wanted you to know that I have a tremendous amount of respect and for you as an educator and as a musician. And congratulations on your retirement.
All right, I'm Chris Sanita, the principal of Pine Bush Elementary School. In all honesty, it's really with mixed emotions that I share a few words about our solo retiree, pun intended, from Pine Bush this year, our vocal music teacher, Miss Carey Dineen. Carey's been a music teacher at Pine Bush since the 2004-2005 school year. And in that time, our students and our school community have been the fortunate beneficiaries of her tireless passion and her enthusiasm for music education since then. And in searching for Carey's start date, I came across a comment shared with Carey and with Martha Beck, my predecessor at Pine Bush, in October of 2004. This is just weeks after she began her tenure at Pine Bush. And that note read, "It is wonderful to see a classroom teacher come in and join the musical activities. It sends a strong message, but also shows how quickly Miss Dineen has become an integral member of the Pine Bush community." This was written just weeks into her tenure. And Carey's commitment to our school has been unwavering ever since that note was written. Not only has she taught general vocal music to between 400 and 500 students each week, she also leads our 4th and 5th grade chorus, with most students in these two grade levels participating each year. When we look at those students seated at our concert assembly, there's a handful of 4th and 5th grade students seated with their teachers. Most children are on the risers waiting their turn to perform. In addition, she also helps teachers rehearse songs for special school events, including our kindergarten graduation, our 5th grade moving up day ceremony, and our school-wide holiday sing-along, just to name a few. She's been the director and set designer for our 5th grade musical, and just last week, she coordinated a field trip for students to participate in the naturalization ceremony at the federal courthouse in downtown Albany. Integral member of the Pine Bush community. Carey has also been past Building Association president, a member of countless building and district level committees. She is someone that you can depend on for an honest answer, even when a little white lie would have done just fine. One thing that has always guided Carey's thinking is what is best for students. Oh, and by the way, she's also the mayor of a little village right down the street called Altamont. Tonight, Carey, I would like to publicly recognize and thank you for never wavering in your commitment to our school and our school district, for always being that integral member of the Pine Bush community, and what from Dr. Hershenhart noted so many years ago still remains evident to this day. Thank you for all you have done for Pine Bush. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our Director of Transportation, Mr. In-Ho Su.
Good evening. Tonight I have the privilege of celebrating the achievement of Batman and Robin, Kathy Kranker and Debbie Platt. They have been the dynamic duo on Route 10 for the last 2 years. Perhaps it's fitting that they're putting down their cape together. Capping off 28 years for Kathy and 33 years for Debbie of service to the students of our district. As you know, bus drivers and bus aides are rare gems these days. Not everyone can do what they do for 3 decades. And by Malcolm Gladwell's standard, Kathy and Debbie are experts in their field. For example, just last month, as Kathy was rolling down to the bus stop, she saw a parent with a child on her shoulder, kicking, screaming, crying. Debbie sees this and she walks down to the bottom steps to receive the student. The parent plops the student on the bottom floor, makes a 360 and says, "Have a good day." All the while, the student is screaming and is just fixed on that bottom step. Kathy rolls to a side street because they were stopping traffic both ways. It was a busy street. And Debbie skillfully guides the student to her seat. All the while, they are communicating with one another like only Batman and Robin can. Thankfully, the dynamic duo will put on their cape time to time as substitute for us. We are very grateful for that, since they are so valuable to our department, to our district, to our students. Thank you so much. Debbie and Kathy, come on down. I didn't forget. Would you welcome back Jackie Vandenberg, principal of Linwood Elementary School.
So I have the distinct honor of being able to speak about our longtime reading teacher and language arts coordinator, Mrs. Kathy State. Even as I stand here tonight and as I typed up my speech that I was going to give for her, it still hasn't really hit me that she's going to be retiring. It's hard to imagine our building without Kathy, and specifically it's hard to imagine our reading department without her leadership next year. All of the jobs at Guilderland School District are so important, but when I sat back and reflected on the work that Kathy's done, it really struck me as to the impact that she's had on her students through her 14-year career at Guilderland Central Schools. I think any of us in the room could sit here and take a minute and think about the importance that reading and writing has in our everyday lives. Some of us may even remember that one teacher that helped make a difference, that helped push us over that hump when we were learning the complexities of reading and writing. I can distinctly remember the teacher who did that for me. It changed how I viewed literacy, it changed how I viewed the world, and it opened up doors for me that I never imagined to be there. For hundreds of students in this district, Mrs. Kathy State is that very teacher. Over the span of her 14-year career at Guilderland, Kathy worked with some of our most struggling readers and writers, students that teachers were wondering about, that they were worried about, thinking about, how can we reach these students? Perhaps the best thing about Mrs. State is that she firmly believes to her core that every child can and will learn. I cannot tell you how many parents have told me that Mrs. State changed the trajectory of their child's educational experience by providing them with intervention strategies that helped foster a love for reading and writing. And most importantly, she helped make them feel successful in the classroom. Aside from all of this, Kathy has so many other talents. I could go on and on. I will call her for information and data, and she will come with her laptop minutes later with a beautiful spreadsheet organized and alphabetized. She knows every student as a reader and writer. If I have a question, she knows exactly where they are, whose class, and she knows them as people. She notices the little things in students, those little nuances, because that's how she's able to get them to trust her in her reading room. She is a master schedule extraordinaire. I'm actually very terrified for what is to come of our master schedule without having Kathy there to oversee it. She's served on the literacy leadership team, the data team. She has organized the summer book exchange. And all through this, I couldn't help but remember that she's really led with a very level head and open mind through many changes in education over the past 14 years. Mrs. State cares about literacy, but beyond that, she cares about the students as citizens in the world. Mrs. State sees her role in the big picture of life, and she's never wavered in her work and commitment to that. Mrs. State, it will be hard to replace your presence in the building. I can always count on you to make me laugh with a witty line when I need it the most. I thank you for being an amazing teacher leader and an excellent example of professionalism throughout your career. I will miss counting our secure test booklets every April and May. So don't worry, you can feel free to come back and look for those. Thank you for your vision in literacy. Thank you for your commitment to kids. And thank you for always staying the course. You have made a lasting impression on Linwood, and congratulations on your retirement. Next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Laster from Farnsworth Middle School.
Thank you, Jackie. So it's my privilege and honor tonight to say a few remarks about our colleague, Mr. Bill Obie, as he begins his next chapter in his life, retirement. 10 years ago, when I came to Farnsworth Middle School, I immediately recognized the strengths, talents, and experience that Bill possessed as a school leader. Despite the title of house principal, Bill's roles, responsibilities, and daily routines were more aligned with the work of a building principal, not just an assistant principal. After coffee and a quick chat each morning, Bill usually starts the day with a smile saying, "Let's go greet the little darlings." even though sometimes we don't feel that way. And then he winds down each day, making sure there are no parents to call or paperwork to complete. He does this genuinely with a happy attitude, and he does it really well. Generations of students who have come through FMS have benefited from Bill's positive attitude, hard work, and dedication to middle-level learning. Bill's never-ending energy, quick thinking, and problem-solving mindset has served the FMS community for the past 21 years. Prior to coming to FMS, Bill started his educational and administrative career at Boston Spa Central School District with many other colleagues that are still working alongside him today. The friendships, the networks, and connections he has made over time have helped him have a long and successful administrative career. I've watched in awe as Bill has made students and adults feel calm, despite the challenges, despite the difficulties that they may be having. His skills in building positive, trusting relationship has been the foundation of the work he has done here in the Guilderland Central School District. Bill's ability to dissect a problem quickly and thoroughly in his head while others are still trying to understand it is really impressive. He's always ready to roll up his sleeves and get the work done. Bill has assumed the role of master scheduler and student management point person for the entire time he's been at FMS. Just like Jackie, I'm very nervous about next year. I've never met another administrator who could understand, process, and explain the master scheduling puzzle that exists in schools so well to the common layperson to make them understand it. His brain operates in a way that makes the patterns and sequences that exist easy to understand. This complex understanding of the inner workings of the system and the structures at FMS and in the larger district will be difficult to replace. Bill's institutional wisdom will be something that will be sorely missed. Bill, I wish you well in retirement. I hope you get to play as much golf as you can. I hope you get to take as many trips to see live music around the country with your family and friends. And I hope you enjoy every minute. I'll miss our morning cups of coffee, the stories that we've shared, and the experiences that we've made. I've learned a lot from you, and I've been humbled to work alongside you. The halls of Hiawatha and Mohawk will not be the same. Your legacy will not easily be forgotten. Congratulations. And now I'd like to introduce and call back up to the podium our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marie Wiles.
Thank you, Mr. Laster. My place on the agenda tonight is to recognize the last but not least retiree for this evening. It is my honor and privilege to have a couple minutes to talk about our now retired Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mr. Neil Sanders, who, 1 week before the budget vote, is probably the most relaxed he has been in 18 years. He's handed the baton of nervous to Dr. Van Alstyne, who can sweat bullets. It really is an honor to talk about Neil's service to this school community. Neil has distinguished himself as a business leader, of course, but I have valued his work more because he has proven himself to be an educator. In the thousands of meetings I've been in with Neil Sanders, and I mean thousands, he is often the first person not to ask the question, how much does that cost, but rather, what do our students need? That's the gold standard for someone who sits in that chair to make decisions about how we use our scarce resources to serve children well. And it's really been an honor and a privilege to do that kind of work because it is mission-driven. It puts our priorities where they're supposed to be with children first. In all of those years, he has distinguished himself in lots and lots of ways. Passed budgets, they always pass. Let's hope we have another one next week. Perfect audits. I'm not sure, and you've seen I've gotten my numbers wrong a couple times tonight, if we're 8 or 9 or 10 immaculate external audits where they have no findings. That just does not happen without attention to detail, without building a strong team, without helping the whole community understand that we all need to do things correctly, and it reflects well on our school district when that happens. You know, he's also distinguished himself with his flair for the red pen. You may not know this about Mr. Sanders, but he really was, I think, an aspiring English teacher because he took great joy in taking a red pen to anything that I wrote or the communications office wrote, crossing out my semicolons, questioning a word choice here. And I thought, wow, he's pretty good at this. He actually had like a 4-foot-high Sharpie in his office that reminded us all that we needed to be humble with our communication skills. I'm guessing there's a few things about his role, his former role, that he doesn't miss anymore. For example, explaining the 8-step salary tax cap calculation. None of us miss that. Bus stop appeals. Every September and October, his sense of stress, you could just see it because no one's happy with their bus stop. Being our COVID coordinator, where he had to calculate every single day we were open exactly how many students and staff were positive or quarantined. It was ridiculous. Often 5 o'clock would come when you had the deadline to put the data in or get booted out of the system and then go to COVID detention. It was terribly stressful, and Neil volunteered to do that task and then tried to pull back from it, but we said, no, you're just so good at it. So I'm pretty sure he misses none of those things, but I can tell you that we do miss him. He brought, and you may not know this, a sense of humor to the district office that is always appreciated because lots of things are not very humorous in the district office. I know that's hard to believe, but it is in fact true. The last thing I'll just say about Neil is that he truly cares about this school district. He cares about the people who live in this community. He cares about our taxpayers. He cares about our children. He cares about all of our employees. And even though he's not sitting in that chair, I know he continues to do so. And one of the ways he's showing it is by coming back next week, Tuesday, to be our chief inspector of elections, to make sure that that process goes smoothly. So Neil, I am super envious on some levels, especially in May. But I cannot, on behalf of the district, thank you enough for your honorable service to this school community. You have made it a better place. Congratulations. Okay, now back to the podium is the man in the red jacket.
Thank you. So a couple of closing comments. I would like to take a second to thank a group of people that have not been thanked yet. And to do this job well, you need people to support you. And a lot of those people are here tonight supporting our tenure recipients and our retirees. And that's the families. And I certainly know it's true in my case, and I know it's true in yours. So I did want to say thank you, and I'd like to give those people a round of applause, the families who support you do great work. I would also like to thank Natalie Rowan, who's here tonight to take all these wonderful pictures that are here. We're going to put those up somewhere, right, Natalie, so that people can laugh at my coat and enjoy the evening. We appreciate that. So thank you, Natalie. And again, I would like to thank everybody for coming. It's a great night. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Feel free to take pictures at the backdrop if you haven't already done so with your family. We want you to do that, and have a great evening and drive safe. Thank you.